Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. My name is Killed IRL and today I'm going to be reacting to Is Blender Hard to Learn? I do have a little bit of experience with, what do you call these kind of like gaming, what do you call them? Like gaming kind of making, I don't even know if you can make a game from Blender. I think it's more of making, what do you call them? Assets? Is it? Something like that. For video games and everything. Throw into other kind of like engines. Like gaming engines. I'm unsure. So like this video has piqued my curiosity and everything. I know a little bit, so whatever I can talk about out of this video is probably gonna, yeah, I don't know. It's gonna definitely show you how much experience I have with like video games. It is not that much. It is bare, but I watched quite a lot of tutorials and everything for, what was it, Unreal Engine, and I can't even remember which one that I was using. I think it was like, I have no idea what the latest one is, but I do remember I've played with it a little bit. I played with Unreal Engine 4 a little bit. I haven't tried Unreal Engine 5. I just meddle with this kind of stuff because I really like it, and I'm just hoping that one day it clicks with me, that I can, I get very attached to want to create a whole project from start to finish. So right now, in my kind of experience with this kind of stuff, is I am still in the learning phase myself. And so this video that I'm currently going to be watching, reacting to, I believe this is going to help me in some way. Maybe. Who knows? Without any further ado, oh wait, this video is from Stylized Station, and at the end of the video, you will be able to see this, what you call it? This video as a tag, or it'll be in the top. God damn it. Turn off the scene. Here we go. It will be pinned to the top right. And the link to this video will also be in the description. Without any further ado, let's go.
I have a question for you. Is Blender hard to learn? Well, if you've never opened a 3D software before,
I've never tried Blender.
Blender can certainly seem complicated. There are a few different views, multiple menus and panels, and moving around your cursor in a 3D space is much more difficult than you think. However, since the 2.8 version was released in 2018, Blender has become a lot more user-friendly, and the learning curve has become much less steep. Now, being that this powerful piece of software is free, the newfound access for beginners made Blender's...
That's a big plus. Free, like... So you're saying that I can use this with Unreal... Not Unreal Engine. Oh, wait, no, yeah. Unreal... Shit, which one's the difference? Oh, that's right. It's Unreal versus Unity. I've tried Unreal and I've tried Unity. I haven't tried Blender. But now that I know that this is could be free, I don't know if it actually is free, but yeah, there's a good chance that I'll probably like check this out at some time.
That this powerful piece of software is free.
Shit, I might even like fuck around with it on a live stream and everything. Wait, I don't have the I need to figure out how to go back to doing a 2 PC setup, because I have no idea why my last setup that was like that broke. So there's something wrong. I need to fix that before I can do shit like this on stream. But I definitely want to. It'd be really cool. It's time fulfilling, and yeah, it's progressive as well.
The newfound access for beginners made Blender's popularity practically explode. Many people picked up 3D.
Like, I want to make my own game and everything, and so like these kind of playing around with these game engines and everything, that's the goal. That's the ultimate goal, to make a game. Still in the learning phase and everything, but at the end of the day, all of that learning is towards the goal, make my own video game.
art as a hobby without considering that it is a very intricate domain and that it cannot be mastered quickly. If you're just starting your 3D journey, the interface with all the menus and the myriad of things you hear about Blender can seem overwhelming. So I'll ask again, is Blender hard to learn?
One thing that I do remember, and I just want to point it out back here,
that it is a very intricate domain and that it cannot be
right here. So I remember there was a way where people were taking their iPhones and taking scans of land masses and everything, and then they can import that into the game engines, and eventually you can, get the same colors and everything as well in certain areas, by highlighting certain things. But I've seen a different way of using that kind of idea someone else done, and when I seen them do it, I just thought it was fucking genius. So they used the same technology to scan something. Instead, though, they created a map like something, like a map of some sort, and they created it out of clay, because clay is very easy to shape and everything with your hands alone. So it gave it that very natural kind of look for the terrain, and then they scanned it, and it was great, man. That stuff like that is I love to look at. Just geek out. Somebody thought of a real easy way of just skipping a whole lot of steps just like that. It's so genius, man. The way how these guys think and in this kind of stuff, it's so good. But I can see how most people don't see the genius in it, because we really don't see how games are made. But yeah, when we hear about shit like that
quickly. If you're just starting your 3D journey,
appreciate them a lot
with
more.
All the menus and the myriad of things you hear about Blender can seem overwhelming. So I'll ask again.
Doesn't that just say marionette?
The myriad of things you just starting your 3D journey, the interface with all the menus and the myriad of things you hear about Blender can seem overwhelming. So I'll ask again, is Blender hard to learn? I understand the term hard is subjective. Difficulty is, after all, interpreted through the lens of the viewer. But if you compare Blender...
So, let me just say that, when I was 16, I would think that it would have been impossible for me to learn the nunchucks. Now that I've, fairly decent, I can freestyle, which is what I wanted to be able to do and everything. So I kind of learnt the nunchucks in one afternoon just fucking around. So I was listening to music and I was supposed to be cleaning up, but then I just, the nunchucks were already on the ground and everything. I picked them up and I just started fucking around with them. Next minute, it's 3 hours later. I've been fucking around with the nunchucks for 3 hours, and then I had gotten used to something. And so I started to look up tutorials on YouTube on tricks that I could learn. And I got good enough to where I can freestyle. And so yeah, that's where I'm currently at and everything. I haven't learned any new tricks. Well, I haven't learned any new tricks from tutorials, but I kind of learned them by just doing it. And so that's that kind of click, or snap, or that kind of engagement, that's what I'm really hoping for to happen when I go and use these kind of programs and everything. I'm hoping that something's gonna click, it's gonna all make sense, and then I can make my own game, hopefully. That's what I'm hoping for.
2 other industry standards interpreted through the lens of the viewer. But if you compare Blender to other industry standard software, you will quickly begin to see how much more forgiving Blender is. The interface, although seemingly complex, is a lot more intuitive than other 3D suites, at least in my humble opinion.
That I've actually heard on multiple times. Yeah, I've definitely heard that, like, while checking out other comment sections and everything, when I was like trying to discover which of these, like, what do you call them, game engines, like when I was trying to discover which game engine to like devote myself to and everything, I still don't know. I'm just trying everything out, and yeah, but I have heard that Blender, a lot of people would really go Blender over most things, but there are other people who will also go, game engines are fine, but Blender is very good for creating assets that they need in those other game engines, which is why they use it and everything. So yeah, it does seem like that is the very favorable kind of engine out of everything. Like, typically, like, out of those three that I've heard of, or that I've like think, I haven't used this. I've used the other two. I've used Unreal and Unity. I haven't used Blender. But both the Unity community and the Unreal Engine community, there's high praises about Blender with those communities.
Complex is a lot more intuitive than other 3D suites, at least in my humble opinion. In comparison, Maya has a much steeper learning curve, and it's challenging to use for first-time users, even if you have
not heard
substantial 3D experience with other software. And even if Cinema 4D is the industry standard for TV, it is much more sluggish and almost out of date when compared to more modern 3D packages. Instead, when it comes to Blender, there seems to be a certain logic behind the software that seems to be aimed at beginners. Although it is a powerful tool, there are certain knickknacks in place that will guide you whenever you're reaching a dead end. A lot of tools that will help optimize your workflow, and a specific order to all of the menus that makes looking for solutions to problems relatively easy. A lot of Blender users report that whenever faced with a problem, they did not find the need to go online, but to try and find a tool that will help with the situation. And that works in most cases when it comes to Blender.
Damn.
Apart from the default.
Oh, hold on. That spell looking thing that they like have in their hand as well. That looks dope.
In most cases.
In the moment when it like starts coming over this way.
Apart from the default tools, there are many add-ons already included in Blender or that you can download to help you save a lot of time. With just a couple of clicks, Blender's Sapling Tree Generator add-on will conjure up procedural variations of realistic-looking trees. You can then make a forest scene complete with procedural leaves, complete rig, and default animation patterns. Another pre-installed add-on called Archimech is a library of assets you can use to build an interior scene in minutes.
That video
called Archimech is a library of
I have seen this. I cannot remember where I have seen this. But this is a render of someone's.
Assets you can use to build an interior scene in minutes. It also allows you to create a room with...
This one's a lot more easier to read than the last one, but like...
doors and windows. Yeah. Furnish it with many different options and even fill it with decoration props.
God damn, man. Just the fact that you can make something look like this and it's in a video game, like crazy.
Such as books, curtains, and lamps. In this aspect, the Blender community and the developers are providing tremendous help for beginners compared to other pieces of software, for which you will need to acquire a license and learn through the much fewer resources available online. Most industry standard software, such as Maya, come with expensive price tags, which makes the supporting community a little bit tighter. For this reason, beginners don't benefit from the broad range of options in introductory courses, tutorials, and saturation of inspiration.
I feel that. I feel like most schools would opt for their students to start learning like the kind of programs that cost nothing, that are cheap, because they know that their students will forever have access to those. But I also see the upside in what's it called? The kind of institutions that also train you to use like these big kind of engines as well. These ones that they say is the industry standard and everything, because they are the industry standard for now. I can really stress that for now they are. I feel like that is the case. But yeah, Unreal Engine is making some strides, man. And Unity is always hot on their fucking heels for like the strides that they make as well. I believe Unreal Engine costs, I can't remember how much it costs, but I think it was cheap when I bought it. Well, I don't know. It might not have like even costed anything. Let's go back.
Introductory courses, tutorials, and saturation of inspiration. Not only are there add-ons that significantly cut out your modeling time, but it's really easy to find instructional videos and full-on tutorials on literally anything you'd like to do with Blender. There are many tutorial channels that are not only informative, but also
that's good, because I haven't tried Blender,
which provide constant value to beginners. Blender Guru's donut tutorial is somewhat a rite of passage for Blender users, but is also a great way to get familiar with the basics.
Okay, I love it when they have dedicated channels to like these kind of things. So I really like this. Shout out to someone that I probably am gonna like be looking forward to watching.
A rite of passage for Blender users, but is also a great way to get familiar with the basics. CG Matter covered procedural.
Wait, what was that? Was that adding polygons?
Basics. CG Matter users, but is also a great way to get familiar with the.
What is that? What's it adding?
Basics. CG Matter covered procedural material nodes in a full in-depth course, and Ducky 3D has a lot of things to teach in regarding motion graphics. Stephen Pearson teaches a mean modern interior course on Skillshare, and Gleb Alexandrov can teach you how to model spacious and robots with this course. There are many Discord and Reddit communities, as well as forums where you can get advice and ask whenever you're having an issue. And if you ever need a little motivation, you can check out loads of inspiring artwork from other hobbyists and established artists on social media. For example, check out Stuzor for some eerie sci-fi environments.
Oh, this scene right here, like everything looks normal in it except for the fact that like I like that. I ain't gonna lie, this is a little bit generic. I've seen plenty of these kind of things. Ooh, the man on top. Okay. Oh shit. I thought I was on the site, so I was like trying to scroll down. I'm like, why isn't it scrolling down?
Or how easy Ian Hubert made it for lazy people to create cinematic scenes. And moths. And for those of you who feel like not sleeping tonight or ever again, Luke Starkey sculpts creatures right out of your deepest nightmares. So this all begs the question.
I don't know about that. I got a few like creepy fucking monsters that I really want to see in a video game, which is why I want to like make a video game. I don't want to make one video game. I want to make a bunch, but like, you know, different topics on everything, just so that nothing seems to be like, you know, so that the flow state is just a lot more better, rather than when you keep doing the same thing over and over again, it can get stagnant. That's why even with my reaction videos, I don't look at one theme and stick to that theme. So I don't want to exhaust it. Why I like to check out everything. Just makes sense.
Starkey sculpts creatures right out of your deepest nightmares. So this all begs the question, what is the best way to actually learn Blender? Of course, your best bet for quickly learning Blender, just like anything else, is through repetition.
Doing it.
If you approach practicing with a bit of a plan and make realistic expectations for what your journey will look like, there really isn't going to be a best place where you can learn Blender. It's going to be, and it's going to come from within yourself. The best place where you...
Because this mountain in the background looks fake. This looks real. It's weird. I don't know if this scene is real.
You can learn Blender. It's going to be
that was something else that put me off it as well. The smoke.
There really isn't going to be a best.
I mean, the smoke looks real, but it kind of doesn't feel real.
Best place where you can learn Blender.
No, is this
it's going to be
real?
And it's going to come from within yourself. Now, the best part, in my opinion, about learning 3D art from scratch is that you will find various branches of 3D along the way that will further inspire you and that you will start to learn just from pure passion. There are many people who want to learn to model products for advertising, but end up falling in love with procedural materials along the way and decide to focus their efforts on that instead. It's also not uncommon to want to learn Blender for motion effects and end up falling in love with rigging and animating your own characters. The best way to go about learning is to get familiar with the basics first and then try to replicate as many tutorials as possible in whatever area that you think is really cool.
That is actually smart. That is actually really smart. That is not what I do at all whenever I try learning something. I throw myself into the deep end and I just keep going. I keep paddling as if I can swim until the whole project is completely fucked, and then I delete it and I do the exact same thing again. And I will do that multiple times until I feel like, okay, I keep getting stuck with what I'm doing. I'm gonna delete this, I'm gonna watch a few tutorials, and then I'm gonna go back to like doing this shit again. You know, see if I picked up anything new. That's my method.
Trying to replicate visuals will teach you a lot about modifiers, lighting, and procedural materials. In contrast, game asset modeling will teach you how to model and texture using the best practices. Learning how to model using basic shapes will also make it a lot easier for you if you were to learn sculpting, and getting familiar with basic timeline and keyframe tricks will help you if you want to rig and animate in the future. So, can you actually learn all of this by yourself online? Can you just blindly follow tutorials and press buttons until someone hires you? Well, it's not that simple, obviously. It is completely possible to teach yourself Blender.
Let me say that in today's kind of world, developers, I believe people are making it a lot more like you really don't need a job to do this shit. Like, as I've even reacted to, if people can remember, Airtight City 2.0. That is a game that is being made by a solo developer and everything. He doesn't need no one backing him to create his game, and it looks fucking fantastic. It looks like a AAA game. I ain't gonna lie. But yeah, I just want to make that point. You don't need a job if you're like doing this shit. I mean, you may need a job to survive and everything, but you don't need a job in the industry to do what you love. In fact, working for an industry might even be like harmful to you because they just want what they want, and you can have a bunch of really good ideas, but they just do not see you for it.
It's not that simple, obviously. It is completely possible to teach yourself Blender to the point where you will be able to produce professional work. And since 3D is such an emerging market, you'll probably be able to find a job if you're willing to make some sacrifices. Now, most people getting into 3D art are attracted to the idea of working in game design, which makes for extremely high competition. There are many other domains where your future skills will be useful and generously compensated. For example, you could look into architectural rendering or product rendering for advertising, and you will notice that there are a lot of high-paying opportunities in these niches. You'd be surprised how much some ad agencies are willing to pay for competent 3D artists. But for all the information and tutorials that are readily available on the internet, it won't make a difference if you can't take the information that you've learned and apply them in your own way. As long as you're creating every tutorial by solo work and approaching learning this software with focus, you'll quickly find yourself creating things you didn't think you could make. So how long will it take before you're able to complete your first project? Well, your first project can take a week, or 2 months, or 5. You can finish the donut tutorial in about a day or 2 if you apply yourself.
I treat my time very valuable, but when it comes to learning things, I treat that as incredibly valuable.
A couple of months at a relaxed pace, or about a month of intensive study, should bring you up to a point where you have a decent grasp of the most important aspects of Blender, like how to navigate the user interface and how to properly use the most important modifiers like booleans and skin modifiers. After this point, there will be many different areas where you can try to specialize: when and how to use specific modifiers, sculpting, UV maps, texture painting and baking, procedural materials, rigging armatures, composition, and lighting. You can spend forever playing with all of these, and your expectations will grow along with your skills. But the number of hours you'll have to invest before you're able to make something you're satisfied with will depend all on your own standards. You are the only one who can decide if your first project will be a skateboard or a full short movie feature. So which parts of Blender are easy?
Maybe I should do that instead of making a video game. Just try and make a movie out of this shit. To be honest, that sounds like a lot of work though. A movie, that's something... Especially if I was to do it, I have to make it high quality, like super high quality. And since now most of my live streaming is in ultra wide, you best believe that bitch better be in fucking ultra wide as well.
Easier to learn. After you feel like you've got the basics down and you're somewhat familiar with the interface, one of the most helpful things you can focus on is basic modeling. You'll need good modeling skills in practically any area you want to specialize in anyway. And it's probably the easiest thing to learn. There are a lot of resources and tutorials that will guide you, and you can start as simple or as complex as you want.
One thing that I hear about making assets and modeling and everything, and this is coming from multiple channels that I've seen on tutorials for using Unreal Engine and Unity and everything. A lot of developers kind of say, whatever your picture of the final product is, take it 3 or 4 shades back. And it's mainly just so that, you know, everything still looks good. It looks good to the point where like it's good enough. But it's also because some people can get too overly fixated on this one thing, and when you do that, you're then crippling yourself, because the amount of time that it took you to create that one model, you have to invest that same amount of time in your next thing again, you know. So like, it's, you can cut down and still have the same good quality. You just roll back a few things, and that way it'll be a lot faster for you to create a scene of 5 people rather than that one perfect model. And it makes sense. Like, yeah, it's just things in moderation, but it gets the job done.
Of course, there are various ways in which you can approach modeling, and practicing modeling small objects will take you through the most common ways. By learning modeling first, you will learn about Blender's many tools that can help speed up your workflow, such as bridging loops, which allows you to quickly insert kinks and holes into a model and not spend an eternity on patching the mesh up, or the poly build tool, which will let you extrude edges freehand, thus allowing you to model complicated meshes in just seconds. The spin tool will also create complex circular objects at a fraction of the time. Moreover, while learning how to model, you will probably get to use the most frequent modifiers, such as the mirror modifier, which lets you create symmetrical objects, the skin modifier, which will be an invaluable tool when creating organic shapes, such as characters or trees, or even the screw modifier, which will allow you to twist and shape some fascinating models. Just a heads up, messing around with the screw modifier will keep you entertained for hours, so don't forget to eat while you're messing around with it. So, what parts of Blender are actually hard to learn? Well, for starters, UV unwrapping and texturing are definitely not easy to master. Once you get past your project from view stage, getting the perfect UVs for your model can take some time to do well. Even though I'm technically a texture artist by trade, I still hate doing UVs, and I'll probably always hate doing them. UV mapping can be a bit of a pain in all 3D software, and users across industries regularly use certain tricks to hide shortcomings, as one often does in digital art. But as a beginner, trying to employ good topology and cleaning up your meshes can turn out pretty bad and can be very difficult. As a beginner, you can expect that even if your models look like what you've imagined, there's a pretty significant chance that your topology would make an experienced user cry. So learning how to take your soggy, N-gon-riddled, dubiously shaded mesh and transform it into a nice, all-quad, uniform mesh will probably take a lot of time. Still, it's a critical step if you'd like to work in game design or collaborate with other artists without the fear of them hating you. So, how would you go about learning Blender without getting stuck in tutorial hell or being disheartened by your own slow progress? Are there things you can do to speed up the learning process and get those meaty, satisfying parts sooner? Well, a great thing to do that most people don't do is take notes. Whenever watching a tutorial with Blender, make sure to write down anything that seems important to you. Any trick that you feel can be used in those
really
situations.
Good advice.
I used to say that if I need a trick again, I'll find the tutorial, but you shouldn't rely on...
Check this out. I make music and everything, but I currently have notepads that are in FL Studio 20 just to remind myself on where things should be and how things should be. So I'm talking about things like depth in music. I'm talking about things like reverb, control. Talking about things like the different kind of damn it, I don't know what the name of the scale is, but it's like your and your boxy kind of cutting sounds. You know, I write all that shit down to do with music, and luckily it's in a notepad folder that's inside the exact same door that I use and everything. So I'm curious if like Unity or Unreal Engine or Blender, if they have their own integrated notebook system, just so that you can instead of like writing things down.
Your memory so much. I seldom the trick
again.
I
think it's best to always like have notebook kind of things in their program, just so that you don't really have to escape the program to like look somewhere else entirely to figure something out. I think it's a real good idea if they don't have it, perhaps they should try implementing that into their systems. It'll save time for their users. Their users will be very thankful for that kind of stuff.
Find the tutorial, but you shouldn't rely on your memory so much. I seldom found them a second time when I went back to look for them. Along with your notes, you can also keep a spreadsheet with hotkeys and shortcuts. You will learn a lot faster if they're readily available to you whenever you need to take a look. Plus, you'll probably find a bunch of really cool shortcuts that you didn't even know existed. Now, regarding your notes, I would recommend revising them regularly, say every week. This will remind you of the tricks that you've forgotten and will further sediment those into your working memory. You shouldn't also...
I only go to my notes whenever I come across
many great resources that can help you level up your Blender skills, such as comprehensive books, in-depth courses, or even boot camps. And to make sure you won't forget everything you're doing when you do a tutorial, every project you complete with the help of some sort of resource should realistically always be followed up by a solo project in which you try not to use any help.
So that's why I live stream making my music, so that it's easier for me to just go back. Hey, what did I actually do wrong with this project? Oh, that's right. I'm not doing this, and this. That's why I like the seeing my progress on my channel and everything. Whenever it comes to things like that.
Realistically, always be followed up by a solo project in which you try not to use any help. While doing the same thing over and over again might seem like a good idea, you might fool yourself by thinking that you're just working on your speed. The only way forward is to challenge yourself. Do something that scares you. Jump into a problem you have no idea how to solve. I promise you will get there. Your result might not be the prettiest, but you'll learn a lot more than if you were to model your 24th donut. As soon as you think you've got a concept half down, jump into the next one and keep pushing your limits. Also, just taking some time to fool around with Blender and experiment will do wonders for your progress. Jumping into the software with no particular goal in mind, without feeling the pressure of an upcoming colossal project, will teach you a lot more than you think. So just go ahead and download
That's basically
Blender if
me.
you haven't already. I mean, it's entirely free forever.
Nice.
Okay, I'm downloading
you'll get
this
the hang
bitch.
of it a lot sooner than
Probably
you think.
tomorrow because I have
In a couple of months,
lot of
you'll
time.
be able to reap the benefits of bravely venturing into the
shit.
painful few days of not knowing where you're going. And just remember, every single artist that you admire has started at this point right now. Thanks for watching, guys. I will see you in the next one.
W fucking video, man. W video. Oh shit. It's gonna play something else, isn't it? For fuck's sakes. Why does it always do this? Just feels compelled to like play the next fucking thing.
I have a question for you.
One, two. Okay, some final thoughts. This video was great. This video was really good. Oh shit, that's right, I forgot. Hey, you deserve a sub as well. No notifications. I don't like to be notified on anything, even though YouTube always notifies me on fucking everything anyway. But yeah, this was good. This was good. So I've always felt a little bit uneasy whenever trying out new kind of like what do you call these, like game engines and all that kind of stuff, because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing whenever I enter them. But yeah, eventually I will go to tutorials and all that kind of stuff, and this, I don't know, this is good. It's just a basic, like, it didn't give you no time frames. It's literally all up to you and how much work you put into it. Kind of like with everything that you do, you know, when you get so good at doing something, when you cross that 10,000 or that 1,000 times of trying the same thing, that threshold of doing that, and instantly everything starts to become like second nature and everything. So yeah, it's kind of like work your own rate, or like it's just about how focused you are on like what you're doing and everything. It's good though. It's good though. Once again, this video will be in the top right of this video. The original video, I mean, of this reaction video will be in the top right, and you can click on that and watch this for yourself, or watch other content from this creator, which is a stylized, I cannot read, the writing is too small, Stylized station. Not bad. This was good. This is good. Thank you for watching, and yeah, go check them out. Obviously they do good work. Surely they have more things in their catalog. I'll see you guys. Goodbye.